Starting around 2022, a distinct pattern of instability took hold across the globe. We saw major land wars erupt in Europe, severe disruptions in global supply chains, and political ideologies polarizing to extreme hardline positions. When you look at these cascading crises all happening at once, it raises a question. Are we simply living through a random string of terrible luck, or is there an underlying architecture driving all of this collapse? A classified research framework known as the Celestial Cipher argues for the latter. According to this dossier, the deterioration of our current systems is actually a mechanism for what ancient Vedic texts call a Yuga Parivartan, a mathematically precise era transition. This matrix table outlines the dossier's core method. Instead of treating the Book of Revelation as vague poetry, it treats the text as a mathematical puzzle. It takes a biblical symbol, anchors it to a specific Vedic astrological concept, and then maps that directly to a calculable, physical event in our solar system. If the math holds up, these headlines represent a calibrated celestial machine executing a predetermined program. Let's test the cipher by translating its first major subject, the red dragon described in Revelation chapter 12. The matrix translates the dragon into Rahu, a shadow planet in Vedic astrology. Physically, the cipher maps Rahu to Lagrange point 2, a specific, stable orbital position trailing the Earth, historically referred to by esoteric texts as a gateway for demonic spirits. In early 2022, the James Webb Space Telescope reached this exact coordinate. The dossier argues that by placing a massive, high-powered human sensor into a point traditionally reserved for the demonic spirit, we provided a technological anchor, a physical bridge that allowed these transition events to mathematically manifest on Earth. This chronological diagram maps out exactly what happened next. By taking the 365 days of the solar year and dividing them by 3, you get a 121-day celestial window. When you calculate precisely 244 days backwards from the October 2022 solar eclipse, the physical manifestation of the dragon, you land exactly on February 24, 2022, the exact day the Russia-Ukraine war began. And the cipher tracks this dragon energy further. It indicates the United States is currently locked into a tamasic state, a period governed by wrath, ignorance, and severe internal aggression, radiating out and destabilizing the rest of the globe. Humanity's greatest leap into the void functioned as a trigger, synchronizing deep space positioning with the sudden onset of terrestrial war. The second symbol in the matrix is the woman clothed with the sun, crying out in pain. Astrologically, this translates perfectly into the Bharani Nakshatra, a constellation governed by the god of death and deeply associated with the brutal process of giving birth. This diagram plots exactly when this birth activates, a tight cluster of eclipses in early 2026. The earthly consequence is immense geological stress. The cipher predicts massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, peaking between February and August of 2026. This intersection graph models what happens after the ground stops shaking. As the natural disasters fade in late 2026, the white line drops, and the orange line surges. This represents an explosion of human religious conflict, leading to the total collapse of old Orthodox religious structures by late 2027. That collapse ushers in the darkest phase of the timeline, the disconnection of Deva. Starting on April 18, 2026, the cipher calculates an exact 1,260-day period where the flow of answered prayers and divine connection is entirely severed from the earth. It sounds terrifying, but within the logic of the cipher, this period of silence isn't random cruelty, it's a loyalty test, a harsh mechanical filtering process required to strip away corrupt human systems before the next era can begin. Which brings us to the final symbol and the ultimate resolution to the chaos, the Lamb. The cipher maps this entity to the stabilizing presence of the planet Jupiter. According to orbital mechanics, Jupiter will enter an Atachari megacycle, an extended 8-year phase of highly accelerated orbital motion beginning in 2036. This is the celestial stabilizing force arriving to end the decay. This calculation breaks down the final piece of the prophecy, the 144,000 sealed individuals who survive the filter. By converting those 144,000 humans into solar days and dividing that by the ancient 360-degree Vedic year, the math outputs exactly 400 years. This complete timeline culminates in the year 2044. That is the exact moment the cosmic machinery finishes its work. The old systems are completely purged, and the great filter concludes. What follows that year is the promise of the cipher. For those who endure the silence and the chaos, the earth stabilizes, divine connection is permanently restored, and humanity enters a pristine 400-year golden age. The celestial cipher represents a total convergence of ancient theology and modern physics. It reflects a deep human impulse, the refusal to accept that our suffering is random, and the drive to find a mathematical order within the darkness.